Yeah. Again, for people just tuning in, I think we casted like 3 or 4 PvPs in a row today.
As is our duty.
As is our duty, we casted Probe versus Gyelzing, then Probe versus SOS, then SOS versus Hurricane, and we were dreading the PvP finals of Stats versus SOS. But of course, Dark saved us from that. He is the non-Protoss hope, the anti-PvP hope that we needed today because we've had so much of it already, and we are ready.
Oh boy, kept us in contention for a while, but Dark is back, and we're gonna be loading in to our first map of the Specify Finals.
Oh boy, yeah, it's fine. We're finally here. It's been a long day. It's been a long night, and this is the beginning of something magical. I can't wait.
Ray versus Leviathan, that's an interesting dynamic. And speaking of interesting dynamics, we are now here on Everdream LE Ideally Edle, which is pretty interesting how the game is going to be playing out. In the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Protoss coming out all the way from the land of Korea. He's been waiting almost all night for this finals to get underway. I mean, before we started the semifinals, the sun was still up for me. It is now far, far down. And now we'll see if he's been able to prepare during that time, or if he's taking a bit of a hibernation. He is the one who blesses the rains, representing a freak of freaks. Blesses the rains. Although I guess in this case it would be rain blessing him. We have stats. Boy.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Everdream LE, we have the Korean Zerg player representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming DPG. It is Dark.
And two things I just realized here, Light. One, I haven't done DPG.
Yo.
Which is a bit unfortunate. I think I was actually... It's a bit unfortunate, but two, Dark is not using his world champion portrait. He's using his portrait from 2017. The year he got knocked out during the group stage at BlizzCon.
Hold on. Did he just not get the war chest that year? Is that what we're hearing?
So. But I mean, he's not using the 2018 one either, which was way better than his 2017 BlizzCon run.
God damn it, Dark. Being hashtag exposed at the moment, not investing in StarCraft for his actual win years. God damn it.
Or
you would think that Blizzard would like provide that to the players, right? Like
yeah, maybe. Either that or Dark is using this portrait to remind him of the dark times.
Yeah, keeping him honest, keeping his ego in check, maybe, as that is also something that he's kind of known for. It's kind of what made him like a more entertaining Korean player, especially in a time of like, the memes of like Koreans being like kind of emotionless or, without personality. So yeah, Dark, he has a lot of fans.
Yeah. For pretty good reason. And we see one of those reasons right now. Actually, we don't see it yet, but yeah, we're seeing the game play out.
Yeah, not too much has happened. We do have stats, of course, going for that Twilight Council first, or Twilight Council opener. We'll see how many gateways get thrown down. We'll see if this is for Glaive Adepts. Are we going to see Dark Shrine follow up like SOS did? Maybe.
Well, one interesting thing about stats is that before the Adept printer got popularized by Zest, it was actually a build that Stats did every now and then in PvZ. Not quite to the efficiency that Zest was able to show us, but still, very well able to catch Zerg players off guard, very well able to do a lot of drone damage. Now that it's a big thing to do in PvZ, Stats is still doing it, but he's been trying to, again, just diversify himself, as once a build becomes meta, more than likely you're going to run into a lot of players who are a little bit more honed in defending against it.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll see how this progresses as Stats. He's doing a different variety of Adept printer compared to SOS, as this time instead of the usual 6 gates, he's going for 4 gate Adepts. So a little bit less committed than SOS in his entire series against Dark.
Yeah, this means that there is a little bit more, I would say there's more pressure on Stats to do drone damage. Obviously he is gonna have to work a little bit harder to do that, but he can transition out of this a lot with less damage done and with less weighing down on his shoulders.
Yeah, it's like a less of a commitment, less investment into this, adept printer basically. So yeah, again, this is kind of more of what Stats is known for, like less of the aggressive player, more of the player who wants to go in and macro up behind it, right?
Yeah, we should be seeing a third base coming up from Stats in the next couple of minutes. But for now, we are just going to be seeing how Dark can defend against this. A very nice maneuver here from Stats, sending those adepts into the natural and then moving his Warp Prism right into the main. And this is not quite the army that Dark needs. Getting some nice surrounds, but not... Yeah, the adepts actually taking out a lot of the Lings, taking out a lot of drones here, and the Roaches still nowhere to be seen.
Exactly, like 5 drones have already gone down. The roaches are on the way, but not done quite yet, as the adepts, they actually didn't commit to that shade, staying there in the natural, killing more queens, more roaches as well in this low number. And yeah, it's Stats, like he's actually dealing a decent amount of damage.
Yeah, I thought we would be seeing a third base coming out pretty quick, but actually, GG.
That's it.
That is in fact it. Stats manages to take it, showing how it's not the amount of adepts you can pump out, but how you use them that matters. And especially on a map like Everdream, right? Where you don't want to be waiting on 6 gates to finish up and to be able to have the resources to pump them out. Stats immediately going across the map with a decent amount of adepts, catching Dark in a timing before he could get his Roach army that he really wants. And we will be moving on for you here, Hairlight. Alrighty, then moving on to our, I think Light may have dropped as, not sure if he's in the lobby right now. Australian internet, man, it does in fact drop like drop bears, and I guess we are just going to be continuing on forward. We are going to be spawning in now onto Eternal Empire, L-E-E-L-E-Ile. We're in the top right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner of the map. We have a blue Protoss player coming down all the way from the land of Korea. Gonna be representing Afrika Freaks. It'd be nice to alternate the Afrika intro, but he is the man who blesses the rains, or more like rain blesses him. The Shield of Iron himself, although taking a little bit of a break from that last night, give her a trap. He is Stats. And in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we do in fact have our red Zerg player coming down again from the land of Korea, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming, DPG. The last of the Zerg, the last of the Slayers, and the last BlizzCon champion. Can he walk that royal road? It's gonna be a bit of a tough ask. We have Dark. And Light is giving us a bit of an update. His internet did in fact go internet, as we have no Australian internet to be a little bit unstable to say the least. And yeah, should be coming back in for the game after this, but until then, I suppose we'll just have to power on through. So it's gonna be interesting to see how Eternal Empire changes from Everdream. There's a lot more of a macro-oriented map. I do not see Stats going for the same build, or at least getting the same amount of success with that build. At the very most, I think maybe can take out this third base, which is a little bit more exposed, but Dark, he is known to be a lot more on top of his defense, especially if he has time to get those defenses actually up. On the other side of that, we will also we went on a little bit to see what Dark is in fact going to be going for. Stats does get a scout off, knows that Dark is being a little bit greedy, going with that double expansion or that third base a little bit earlier on, which as the game goes on is going to be a little bit worse for Stats. Meanwhile, we do see Stats going into that Stargate that he has been known to go for. Now, a question you're always going to be asking in a PvZ, how many Oracles is it going to come out? Is it just going to be one into Phoenixes? Or is he actually going to be committing to those Disco Balls of Death? Will he actually try to get a lot of harassment damage done with those Oracles and maybe transition to a Robo-Bay-based army, or maybe not? Possibilities, they are endless. So we are gonna be waiting on a little bit for the game to really come into action. It's usually the part where start theorizing, how is this gonna play out, and yeah, I don't have too much to really go for right now other than Dark just getting a lot of drones up. This is what he likes to do. And going in to scout the... going to start the Stargate of Stats. So Oracle does come out, and Stats going to go for this double Oracle once again. A couple of drones went down to, I'm gonna assume, Adepts over into this main base. Dark already getting prepared, getting those Spore Crawlers, but not in where they're most important. Does hit the Queen Stone and should be able to take out this Oracle. Barely survives. Stats trying to go for round 2, but not quite. Yeah, realizes how dangerous that would be, and is gonna be backing off. So, the second Oracle is gonna be coming back into position, and this is gonna give Stats a lot more, I don't want to say muscle, but a lot more opportunity. He can't afford to dive in and take a bunch of queen shots and then dive on back out. Does transition to a Phoenix, but gonna be committing to this Oracle play, interestingly enough, so probably not gonna be too dedicated to that Sky Toss army, but definitely wants to have this harassment force. And, you know, even if he isn't able to get the harass, Revelations, that's a way to clear creep. Stasis wards, you know, that's Stats. He really does put the Stats in Stats wards. So Oracles are definitely what you want out. Other than that, though, doesn't seem to be too much of a tech progression coming out from Stats. Now going for the Robo Facility. So we should be seeing a more ground-based army coming out. And Dark, he's waiting on that lair. Is not gotten a Roach Warren, not gotten a Baling Nest, no tech coming out. I want to say it's a Spire that's going to be coming out, but... oh, okay, it does go for the 4 gases. So you could very much see that Spire, and that is a bit of a classic ZVP composition. Stargate versus Muta. Typically you don't expect the Mutas to win, which is why it's usually Stargate versus Corruptors. But yeah, we will see. We will see, as Stats going for a double Twilight Council? Gonna be a bit of a mistake here, but might not be. Might be wanting to get Blink and Glaive at the same time, which, if you have the resources for it and you're planning on going for some kind of timing on that, go on ahead. But it is, in fact, going to be Charge. Much more damaging option out of all of these Twilight Council upgrades. Especially considering the fact that Dark, he's not going for a Baling Nest right now. And Stats should be aware of that. Is able to scout that a Roach Warren is coming down. Not too sure about the Spire. And by that I mean I'm not too sure. But yeah, Charge, that is what you want against Roaches. Not necessarily against Mutas or Corruptors, but Stats does have his Phoenixes to deal with that. And going for a Templar Archives behind it. Archon's always what you want. And Storms are pretty good, I suppose. And Dark, we're at that phase where, yeah, both players are just trying to pressure each other a little bit, both building up into more of their timing attacks. Not a lot of action really happening so far, but this is where you look at the production bar. This is where you look at the armies and the bases. You know, how is this going to play out? And Dark, going for a very, very early infestation pit. Oh, lordy.
Oh, interesting. And as I return...
Hola.
It is up to you. Do I sound good?
Yeah, decently well. I would screen
Sweet.
share, but I'm not sure how I'd put that on OBS right now. So it is going to be Analyst Light here, providing a little bit of those whatchamacallits as the shots get thrown out. And yeah, Stats trying to move in. Force fields are great, but this time Dark does have Ravages out much sooner, and he is starting to nip at the heels of Stats' army. Should be able to get quite a bit done. Caught pickup from this Warp Prism, and Stats gonna be retreating from here. Dark gonna be using that infestation pit, going into Hive, getting the Lurker Den behind this, and this is something that Dark has shown a bit of an affinity for in throughout today.
Yeah. If people tuned into the previous series against SOS, then yeah, he was very fond of that. We saw that in a lot of the late game scenarios. Just he just have a little bit of a tendency to stay on it maybe a little bit too long.
Yeah, to say the least. But he is getting to Hive very early on this time, so I do have to hope, at least, fingers crossed, Dark is gonna realize when the Lurkers stop being as useful. He should realize I should take into something else. Here's hoping. Did get that Spire, so may see a greater Spire that he was so averse to in his series against SOS. But for now, detention, not detention, which is what Real One may or may not be giving SOS right now. But the tension, it's palpable.
Yeah, and it's a shame that I didn't get into the game on Eternal Empire War Games, because we could see a more longer macro game on this one. So I apologize, as this could be a long one.
Yeah, it could definitely be, but I think that's what a lot of us are hoping for. Does also mean that you have a bit more time to get back into the StarCraft client. Phoenix is now trying to get some harassment done, and ooh, Biles just barely not landing. And so Stats manages to make away with 4 drones and continuing to ramp up the economies quite a bit. Dark going for those Lurker upgrades, going for Adaptive Talons. So we should start seeing Dark get a little bit more aggressive now. Maybe not with the Lurkers immediately, but yeah, this is definitely going to be the time for Dark to start putting on the pressure. And this is huge! Does manage to meet the army of Stats right in the middle, right on top of that ramp. And yeah, the Templar just so far away, and even then, the Templar are not quite what you want against Roach Ravager. The Ling Run by did get cleaned out by those Oracles, so Stats still has that 4th base in the Rich Gas location. And yeah, we'll be waiting for that to finish up. Start mining from it. But this is what we were saying. This is why Dark can start to be a bit more aggressive, as the Lurkers are well in position. Might actually try to go for a bit of a Lurker sandwich here, but the Storms are just beautifully placed. There is detection here for Stats, but yeah, did manage to figure out where the Lurkers were going to land, and or burrow rather, and did throw the Storms down as well. And now the army of Stats actually starting to get thinned out a little bit. The Lurkers, the numbers did start to go down a little bit, and Dark has lost his 5th base, but I think Stats may have underestimated them just a little bit too much. I want to say that he sustained a lot of losses there, as both armies kind of wiped each other out, but they've both taken a base each, so it's about even for the time being. Although Dark does have the Rich Vespene base, where Stats will have to remake that. So we shouldn't really be seeing a late game transition out of Stats. Not quite yet, anyway. Still going to be waiting for that gas count to come in. Yeah. And for now, I guess, yes, Dark is just finding ways to put under pressure with these Ling Run buys. He's really focused on getting a healthy Lurker count and going into more of a Lurker, Hydra, potentially even Roach army. We'll see how this game goes. Nice quick burrow on top of this army. Does take out a decent number of these units, and for now, yeah, Stats actually has a bit of a vulnerable, or I guess not a vulnerable army. but a slow army. So Dark, if he can just hug his way on top of the heels of this, could try to borrow and try to go for some AoE, but will have to respect the High Templar count, as it only takes a couple of storms. If Dark doesn't split up his lurkers, it only takes a couple of storms to completely wipe him out. But he's really starting to assert himself here. The Templar, they do throw down a couple of storms, are already wiped out. GG's called, and Dark is going to be able to tie up that series sideways 1-1 with some very good greedy play.
Wow, GG, and I was trying to follow that, like with the 2-minute delay on stream. It was very difficult to do. I was like, oh, maybe I can. Nope. Oh god, but yeah, I'm back, so don't worry, I will be able to join you for the next game, as I am here in game.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was rough. As soon as the previous game ended, like the internet just cut off.
They could not handle those levels of stats.
Exactly. And I love that, you know, Dark was able to tie it up 1-1. Like, it isn't going to be a clean sweep. He is going to be fighting back. It's not like he used up all of his energy in the previous series. You know, he's still got plenty of reserves left.
Indeed, he does. And yeah, really showing off how he's able to play to the strengths of the map, and kind of understanding, I guess it goes into a little bit of that metagaming that I don't want to say discuss, but touched on a little bit earlier today, but did kind of go. He went into that game kind of expecting stats to be more passive. Not you, Bixby. A bit more passive and trying to macro up. So what does Dark do? Get a bunch of bases and get a very early infestation pit, as stats moves out with a bit of an early probe. Could be something. And speaking of which, we're now on to Death Aura. LE, the aura, which I normally think of as radiation, but might not be here. Handy bottom right hand corner map spotting. Handy bottom right hand corner of the map. And Light, now that you're back, I got a question for you. Are you free?
Afrika TV.
Representing the Afrika Freaks, we have the Shield of Ire, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury himself, and some have called him Waldo in the past, but he has grown out of it. He is Stats.
And spawning in at the top left-hand corner of the Death Aura LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming, DPG. It is Dark.
Donnie Darko.
And honestly, I was a little bit concerned going into this, if you
this was a
recall, as as last time Dark was on this map, he did go for the 12 pool.
He did.
And
somehow it ended up working out for him.
Yeah, the 12 pool itself didn't, but you know what? He transitioned out of it. You know, spread creep. Yeah.
I do think that Stats is a bit more of a proactive player than SOS, though. If this does go into a base trade, I can't imagine it going Dark's way.
Yeah, I'm only just recalling that this was the map where we ended up in a base trade. We ended up in a base trade off of a 12 pool opening.
Off of a 12 pool, and then we went into a cannon rush.
Yeah, god damn it.
These 25 minutes.
And that's why that's one of the greatest series we've casted. That was beautiful to see.
Dark.
This definitely does have a lot to live up to. Yeah, definitely. Like he definitely hangs in there. You know, we were talking about it, right? Like the tenacity he had to just continue. He could, despite. Despite like the deficit or the situation that he was in.
Yeah, and so far at least the games themselves have looked a little bit one-sided. Was Stats going in for an early adept build and getting a lot of value out of it, and then Dark going for a very greedy macro build, maxing out, and then getting a lot of value out of that. So yeah, we'll see if this trend continues on.
Yeah, and this is what I'll have to ask. As again, I wasn't here for the previous game, but did Stats go for a Twilight Council opening again?
No, he went for a Stargate, double Oracle, into a Phoenix, into a third Oracle.
Ooh, okay. We'll see if that trend continues here, as Stats did once again go for that Stargate opener, going for an Oracle first. We'll see if it's 1, 2, or 3, as there are definitely different ways to play out this opener.
Very much so is, and I kind of feel that might be a little more successful on the map like Death Aura. The only I don't have anything to back that up other than the fact that I feel, and again, I don't have the data to back this up, but I feel like Stargate is a bit more popular on Death Aura compared to the other maps.
Yeah, from what we can tell anyway, and we'll see how much damage you can get done, as the first Oracle is already here across the map, getting into the third base, getting already a handful of drones, and yeah, we do see that second Oracle on the way as well.
Indeed we do, and
third.
Okay, going straight for the triple Oracle, gonna be very dedicated to his aerial harassment force, and we can get to a point in the game where if Stats builds up enough energy, he can actually start to snipe buildings. We'll have to see.
Well, we will see indeed, as again, like, this is a variant that is, I wouldn't say common, but people do it. Triple Oracle, you can dive in, you can kind of afford to ignore a couple of spore shots depending on which Oracle you have first. You can get a lot of kills, you can have like Oracles for defense against Ling Runbys as well. Like, there's a lot you can do with it.
Yeah, I think Haas might have been the first one to show the potential of triple Oracle, but it took somebody like Stats years later to be able to really popularize it.
Yeah, and obviously there are downsides to it, right? Like, you don't get a Phoenix out, so you don't get to clear Overlords anywhere near as efficiently. But despite that, you are like looking to get more drone damage instead.
Yeah, and drone damage you will get. Does lose a single Oracle, but 6 more drones in addition to the 4 not behind.
Oh,
that's pretty decent damage coming out from the Stats.
Yeah, and something that I haven't seen too much coming out from Dark is that he is skipping that Roach Warren. Instead, he's getting +1 melee, and he's getting a Baneliness as well, committing to this Ling Bane style.
And it's going to be a little bit, I don't know, I'm not sure if this is better for Dark or worse, because he is starting to lose a decent number of workers. Will be redroning at some point. But yeah, you never want to be behind, do you?
Exactly, like, especially when you go for Ling Bane, like, Larva is so crucial for Ling Bane because you utilize so much of it that losing drones and having to utilize Larva to remake those drones, like, it does hurt your army so much more.
You know what else hurts? Not having the Spore Crawler in position.
that also does, as again, like, these 2 Oracles, they continue to do more damage, and here we go, the Glaive Adepts. Glaive just finishes up, the Adepts are on the way, and this time, because of the opener, there are no Roaches for defense, but there are a lot of Banelings instead.
Very worrisome. We're gonna get into a point where if Dark can connect his Banelings onto these Adepts, he should be able to turn the tides and just clean up pretty easily, but Stats, you gotta give him more credit than that.
Oh, he commits! What? He committed to Baneling!
The Banelings, huh?
Oh my god, and I don't blame you for not having the camera on that, because you would never expect him to commit to the Shade.
It's because Dark kind of run by into the third base.
Oh
Stats'
my
attention
god.
so well split up. Very nicely done there by Dark. And now look at this. The +1 finished up quite a while ago. Zergling's really chopping away. GG, and I guess we're continuing that trend of one-sided games. Hopefully not a one-sided series.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, just like that, Dark, he counterattacked at the same time that Stats was pushing in, so his attention was split. Stats committed to a Shade with the Adepts, and everything just exploded at the same time. A bunch of probes went down across the map. Like, oh my god, the multi-prong just at the perfect time for Dark.
Exactly, yeah. We didn't mention it, but there were a couple of Lings that were hanging out in that sort of 4th base location by Stats, and when I saw that, I thought, okay, Dark is going to see what he can get done, and eventually he's going to pull them back and try to get a bit of defense, but immediately once those Shades went on through, Dark, he timed it where he was like, okay, I'm sending these Lings in, I'm going to make sure that Stats either focuses on his Adepts and loses his economy, or he focuses on his economy and loses those Adepts. Dark somehow got both.
Yeah. Somehow, some way, Stats, his attention was just split perfectly to the point where he couldn't really focus on either one effectively. And yeah, Dark won on both fronts. And just like that, GG was called. Dark takes the game. And now we are
match point.
going to be, yeah, we're on match point, loading in on Pillars of Gold.
And I don't even think Dark expected to win that soon in that last game.
Yeah, like...
Alrighty then, and with that, I do believe that we can cross out our bingo card, as now we're on Pillars of Gold, meaning we got to cover every map tonight, I believe. I could be wrong there. Pillars of Gold. The pillars that hold up the Golden Wall, protecting the Eternal Empire, where the LE submarines are kept. In the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. I got a question for you, Light. Are you free?
Down in Africa.
We have the player coming down all the way from South Korea, blessing the Rain down in Africa, although Rain kind of blesses him a little bit. The Shield of Fire himself. Now, this is his final shot. Otherwise, he does not win another ESL Open Cup. Can he do it? It's Stats. Boys, representing a freak of freaks, if I didn't say that.
And spawning in on the top right-hand corner of Pillars of Gold LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming DPG. It is Dark.
Joy.
Oh boy, and yeah, this, as you were pointing out, this is actually the first time we're seeing this map tonight.
Yeah. Which is may or may not be a bit of an obvious reason. I wonder what the vetoes were for these two guys, but Pillars of Gold is generally considered to be a more Zerg favorite map. In PvZ, I'm not sure how much that really comes into play here. But generally, it is seen as a bit more towards the Zerg favor.
Yeah. So I'm really curious to see what the vetoes were like. I mean, judging on what we've seen so far, I imagine Golden Wall was probably one of the vetoes. I'm not too sure what. I guess Submarine the other. I mean, there's probably the more standard vetoes in a best of 5. But yeah, we are lucky enough to finally see Pillars of Gold here tonight in the ESL Open Cup number 28. And yeah, we'll see if anything crazy comes out here, as Stats is going for, once again, a Stargate opener.
Now, it hasn't worked for him the times that he tried it. But to be fair, I think Stats is coming in with the thought process of, okay, Adept Printer, I've watched Dark's games, I know that he can defend against that. Adept Printer is good to pull off once, to see, you know, if I can get anything done with it. Other than that, I should go with builds that I'm a bit more, I've refined a bit more.
Yeah, that's important to note that, of course, the last series, SOS vs. Dark, was casted in Korean by Maddox, and Stats was tuning into that, so he is aware of how SOS played, about how Dark played as well, and how he was able to defend against the constant glaive adepts from his opponent. So instead, this time, Stats going for very heavy Stargate openers. Now, Yaku, here's the question. How many Oracles are we going to see?
Nothing but Oracles. Stats, he's down 2-1. He knows his opponent's on match point. Screw it. Let's just see how. Let's try to revive Disco.
Yeah, and I mean, it could work, as already 3 drones are going down these adepts. You know, some decent damage so far. And here we go. The first Oracle is on the way. There's a second one in production, so no Oracle Phoenix. And we have yet to see whether there will be a third. Again, the Overlord is really nicely placed from Dark, so he will be able to spot them as they come out, whatever does come out from that Stargate.
And now a bit of pressure coming to be applied onto Stats, much like you would apply pressure to a wound here. This Adept is getting dangerously low, but the second Adept already in position here to be able to body block all of the lings. It's starting to get low again. Light is starting to get low. Light is starting to get low without glaives. It really shows how slow the actual attack of Adepts are.
Yeah, yeah. Thankfully, Stats, he was keeping an eye on that, and he was on point with his secondary wall behind the Adepts. If he wasn't, then, yep, those 2 Adepts would have gone down. Dark would have slipped in, gotten a scout, maybe a couple of worker kills, so nicely done there by Stats, not really overreacting either to it. And here we go, the Oracles are here.
And they are zip, zap, zoobity zapping away. But moving into a little bit of a risky position there. It's Dark with the beautiful Queen flank. Will lose a couple of drones, but did take out a single Oracle. Gonna make Stats think twice. And actually, the Oracle that went down was the one with a lot more energy. Stats effectively only has 1 Oracle.
Yeah, Stats, he did go for that triple Oracle opener once again, followed by Phoenix this time, which is a nice little adjustment he has made in this series. And yeah, already one of the Oracles going down. Another one is quite low as well, so he has to be careful.
Both of them are on about the same amount of health right now, and yeah, I don't think Stats is going to be looking to commit to that too much.
Oh god, he's
realizes that he may have to. Yeah, he has been flooding. Baneling Nest is not complete. In fact, it's only now getting ready. But as you said, the Overlords from Dark really well placed. Once Stats start to pressure or push away that Overlord, realize that's probably going to be an expansion coming out, isn't there?
Yeah, Dark, he's playing this out just like he did in the previous game that we just saw. A bunch of links, +1 melee on the way. Baneling Nest on the way.
Or not. He's going to try to go into the main. Or not. Well, he did try to go into natural, but...
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of opportunities here, but of course we do see there are plenty of sentries around for force fields, so it's a little bit difficult, but he does get surrounded with the army! Oh, the sentries!
And the glaives are not quite there, but the sentries and the Adept Search have survived. These Oracles really putting in... They're a real MVP right now for Stats. They got a decent amount of drone damage, and now it's what's keeping him alive against an onslaught of Lings as he transitions to his mid-game with the Templar Archives.
Yeah, here we go. Templar Archives is on the way, I imagine, for potentially Storm or Archons, depending on what he wants to go for initially. Meanwhile, more Banelings on the way. More and more Lings are coming across the map as well from Dark, reinforcing his army. And to be fair, the like this... Oh, God, the Banelings are rushing in!
Into the mineral line, but the probes are fast. Forced to utilize those Banelings, otherwise wasting them. So does get a shield battery and a couple of probes behind that. Not quite the damage that Dark was looking for, but decent enough for him to have breathing room to go into the mid game.
Nice reaction time there from Stats, who was able to save the majority of his probes as well as his army. Meanwhile, Dark, he's like, continuing to try and track around, trying to find an opportunity with those Lings. And as you're pointing out, we have the Warp Prism looking to try to get into the main base. Has to be careful because there are already Queens in position. I say that, but they're moving away. Oh god, Dark
saw that Warp Prism move across the map, and then I guess, and then it's not there yet, so he decided, yeah, it's probably not coming in. But then he realized, no, I can never be too sure.
Yep, he's just waiting for that moment, for that opportunity. Both players are. Stats looking to try and dive in. Dark looking to try and catch that as there are 2 Archons in this.
But Dark already prepared for this. The Queens were in position, and now a couple of Roaches going to be helping to deal with these Archons. Stats not getting much of anything done, but there is a bit of a run by, but did not do too much there.
Yeah, the Lings were able to deal with that. And these Archons, to be fair, like the Archon drop, it does deal some damage. There's an Observer here for detection, so he can clear creep at least. So he is, finding some damage here and there.
I don't want to underestimate how good clearing creep can be. I think the series against SOS really exemplifies why it's such a good... why it's so important for the Protoss player to be able to dictate the pace of the game, and that starts with taking out creep.
Yeah, definitely. That was very much so showcased in SOS versus Dark. And Stats, he isn't anywhere near as vigilant. His presence isn't anywhere near as dominant in the middle of the map. So Dark, his creep spread is looking pretty good here on Pillars of Gold so far. Ooh, looks like Azelle was able to find some Banelings.
Had no fear. Just went straight for the Zealot, that Baneling. Baneling tried to escape, but thought, no, I will endure the pain if I can take you out. Even without charge. He did. I think there is charge, but what a legend. Azelle better be promoted to I'm not sure how ranks work in Protoss Society.
he definitely deserves something for what he just did. And meanwhile, again, like both players they're teching up. We have Infestation Pit just finishing up for Dark, so he can finally start working on his hive. We'll see if he throws down a Hydra Den again for lurkers. Like that's kind of been his go-to in this series. Meanwhile, Storm is on the way for stats, and Storm is going to be beautiful against Hydra, Lurker, Ling Bane. But still, none of those tech structures have been thrown down for Dark.
Yeah, really keeping his options open. Going for that hive before anything. We do see a Spire, so we might be seeing a Greater Spire coming out. I was kind of thinking Ultralisks. It's something that Dark has been known for in the past, but I realized that this is a ZVP, so don't want to pull a Beast Orc, or not a Beast Orc, a Miyomika there.
It's very interesting the decision that he's decided to go for with this tech. And to be fair, the main army of stats, it doesn't look too threatening. I do think that Dark defensively, I mean, he's maxed out, right? Like he should be able to do with this. Oh, another Ling run by there. Oh, is he going to be able to deny the space?
I think it absolutely should be. Stats a little bit reluctant to use that recall unless he really has to use it. Does actually get to cancel as the Oracles are not quite able to take them out. The Banelings are starting to roll in, not getting a lot done. But they were threatening.
That they were. It was a little bit mistimed there. I'm sure they were trying to go for that third base all the way through. But you know, getting a denial on that Nexus was pretty nice.
Either that, or maybe Dark didn't believe that the Lynx alone could do it.
It's possible. It's definitely possible. And yeah, we do have stats finally moving out across the map as he was forced back home due to that Ling run by. So Dark was able to buy more time, and it feels like there aren't too many sentries with this army.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of sentries, but they do have a lot of energy on them. So force field potential is definitely there for stats as he warps in Templar rather than sentries. And now,
yeah, I mean, go on.
I was just gonna say, Dark going for adrenal glands and that Greater Spire.
Ooh, gonna be nicely set up for that late game scenario with all those upgrades, with the Greater Spire as well.
The Charger's here to charge the Banelings!
Oh god!
A lot of them actually surviving, but the Ravagers do clean that up. Meanwhile, another run by, this time with the Roaches that Dark doesn't have much use for anymore. He's got his Ravagers. Was that a kill?
Yeah, and at the same time, the main army of stats is pushing into the third base of Dark. He is trying to break him. Oh, nice position here, but the Banelings!
Oh, but the High Templar in such a good position, way in the back, making sure that they were not threatened, and they did manage to cancel a lot of Banelings, but I think Dark has too much here. Could potentially go from here, but a lot of drones are starting to go down.
Exactly, like there was a Zealot run by. Actually, the third base fell. It was killed for Dark due to, it wasn't a Zealot run by. It was like part of the main army, and it looks like Stats may have too much here with his entire army starting to come together. The Immortals, the Archons as well. Just the Roach Ravager. Like Dark was too greedy. He takes up the Greatest Fire, but he didn't get any.
Greedy. GG is called. And we are getting our ace match, and I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head there, Light. Dark got a little too greedy there. And man, I guess it's stats really showing that he's not the only one who can get his attention split.
Yeah, like there's a reason why typically even today we've seen Dark transition from that Roach Ravager style into Lurkers, right? Like it comes out a little bit more sooner. It's really nice defensively, and he was just completely skipping Lurker tech, trying to go right into Broodlords. And if you do so and you get attacked in the middle of your transition, like we see what happens. Like his army just was completely torn apart by stats.
Really was. And to go back to that point for a little bit, I think Dark absolutely had the units that he needed to fight against what Sats had. But because his attention got split, his army didn't split up as efficiently as it could have. We saw him lose a lot of Banelings to those storms. And again, Stats came up, emerged the victor. Barely.
Oh my god, and I can't believe this map made it through the vetoes.
What?
Oh my god, we are gonna be getting into Golden Wall.
That's how we're gonna end it tonight.
This is where the ace match is gonna take place.
Oh lord.
Wait, so what's the other map? So Submarine was vetoed, and
Submarine.
They vetoed Ice. Crazy. All right, so Ice and Chrome was vetoed, and now we're gonna be forced to have our ace match on Golden Wall.
Well, what do we have? We had Eternal Empire, Death Aura, Everdream, Pills of Gold. Yeah. So Ice and Chrome and Submarine. Ice and Chrome and Submarine.
Yeah. So, this honestly, this could go either way. Like, this is such a unique map. It offers like all these like different diverging play styles and builds.
I'm not sure they expected for the series to go to the ace match.
Oh my god! Do you think they're discussing it at the moment? They're like, mate, how did this get through? What happened?
Maddox, we need you on the case.
Maddox, please translate. But here we go. They are ready. The lobby, the game is starting, and I have no idea what to expect here. I was not expecting this to be the ace match.
You're expecting Ice and Chrome?
Yeah. I was expecting anything else. I would have been okay with Submarine, but the Golden Wall. All right.
That is how we're gonna end tonight. And speaking of how we're gonna end tonight, is it gonna be by a victory from this guy spawning in the left-hand side of the map, spawning all the way in the left-hand side of Golden Wall LE. He is the one who blesses the rains, or has been blessed by rain. Coming out all the way from South Korea. Light, are you free?
Afrika TV.
We have, representing Afrika Freaks, Stats, as I forgot. As like for a brief second forgot I was observing and had my hands off my keyboard and mouse.
Look, it's been a long day. These are the last intros of the night that will be done. And speaking of intros, here we have him spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Golden Wall LE. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming, DPG. It is at taking the gold base, Dark.
I was trying to get that so that it got into place, but we got it in the end.
Yes, of course. Spacebar only shows active hatcheries, not the morphing ones. But
it's unfortunate.
All right, so Dark, he's the first to kind of switch things up here and take the gold.
Yeah, and Stats has scouted this off, so I feel like we see this play out before Light. Stats, he's gonna play a defensive. He's gonna position himself defensively, get a wall up, get a lot of defensive units out, never expand, and Dark's just gonna go into 4 bases happily.
It's quite possible, and I just don't really know what to expect here. What does Dark have planned with this economic advantage that he's going to get? Is he just going to play this out normally, just with this mineral boost, or does he have something in mind, some kind of all-in? Regardless, Stats, of course, with his probe, will scout this, does know that the gold is being taken, so we'll see how he's able to respond to this. As I love this, Dark, he's already starting to mine out the middle.
Oh, okay, trying to go for a bit of a flanking move. Now, mining out in the middle this early on could be a double-edged sword. As does this mean that Stats could find this on, as he scouts, so as he goes in for scout, he is omitting the Stargate this time, so thankfully he won't, he won't be sending a unit across there that quickly. But yeah, this is something that Stats can take advantage of.
Yeah,
definitely.
Definitely.
Dark wanted to use.
Yeah, like we've seen the meta evolve here, as in the past, like if the Protoss player got a War Prism on the other side of that golden wall, and the Zerg player really struggled to get behind there. So Dark already mining out the center, so now he has access to get behind that mineral line and defend his gold mining drones.
Thanks,
and we'll see. Thanks, Cyril. Yeah, Cyril did do it in wasn't DreamHack, it was earlier, right?
I think it was TSL? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was TSL.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting how the game has changed here on this map.
Yeah, definitely going to be favoring the Zerg player a bit more, as we said, to have a bit of defenses out. But can work out pretty well for stats. And speaking of stats, it gets a couple of gates as well as a Dark Shrine.
Ooh. Okay, interesting. We'll see how much damage these DTs can get done, as, again, we did see the Twilight Council. I was assuming Glaive Adepts again. Nope, it's going to be Dark Shrine. So it's going to be on Dark to try and scout this and make sure he has at least detection on the way, as, you know, he doesn't even have a lair, right? It's going to be all about the spores for now.
I don't think he suspects it, Light.
Oh, gosh.
Trying to go into the main base here, but, yeah, no dice, and Dark Shrine is almost gonna be finishing up. Where are the spores? There's a spore in the... Okay, there's a spore in the gold base and one in the main. So Natural will be a little bit vulnerable for now, but Dark is gonna be on top of that. Even catching out a couple of units.
Ooh, nicely done. Like, Dark, he's very active with his links we've seen throughout this series. It's really cool to see him try and find like little pick-offs here and there. Whether they work for him or not. But yeah, he will get detection, so DT shouldn't end the game.
Unless the detection gets started down.
Yeah, we've seen that.
But that's a bit of
before.
a different story.
Yeah, that happened on Ice and Chrome.
Well, even then, it didn't end the game. It just set off a long domino effect to eventually end the game.
And, ooh, interesting. So the DTs are forced back here. The Archons are forced to defend the main and natural wall here for stats.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the things that any Zerg player should try to learn if they're watching back at home. So Protoss armies usually at this stage can only be at one place at a time, so you want to either force them to defend or to move into you.
Yeah, definitely. And ooh, we do have Dark taking a bait. Stats taking a bait. And yeah, Dark, he spots this and he already has links here looking to try and deny this.
Yeah, this is a little bit of an awkward decision coming up from Stats, seeing as how he knew that those minerals in the middle were mined out, and yeah, forces a cancel and a further delay on this third base.
Yeah, nicely done there by Dark. He was actually opting to, like, there was a risk there if he had went across the map that the Archons would start laying siege to that gold mineral line, but instead he just went across, dealt that damage, and forced the Archons back home. So nicely done there by Dark, keeping Stats busy at home. He hasn't really been able to go across and deal any economic damage at all.
No, he has not. And more and more pressure being thrown here on the side of Stats. Stats really has to make a decision right now. Do I go for the harass? And he's trying to, but these units are in position. Archons, just about the shortest range unit coming out from Protoss, other than the melee ones, and not in range at all to lay siege on this base, but does force a lot of lost mining time. Even a couple of biles if that bait.
I'm honestly getting a little bit of deja vu. I'm surprised that Dark isn't utilizing, you know, the hole in the middle of the map to try and get back there and stop these Archons. But the Warp is getting quite low.
AC feels confident enough in his static defenses and his couple of roaches.
Yeah, it does seem so, as again, the Archons, they are here dealing more damage, but the Roach Ravager are in place here to push them away. Meanwhile, we do see that the Hydralisk Den has finished up for Dark, so he's not going right into Spire like we did see before. He's going Roach Ravager into Hydras. No Lurker Den quite yet.
Yeah, he is going to be sitting on this Roach Ravager Hydra for a little while. As, yeah, the late game tech just has not been taken yet from Dark, which arguably is how it should be, as opposed to how he was getting them real early on those previous games. But yeah, for now, it's Dark is really trying to just have a solid place on this map before progressing.
Yeah, and speaking of solid place, like, props to Stats, because this War Prism with the two Archons, they've actually, you know, kept Dark pretty busy this entire time for the last couple of minutes. And now we finally have the Hydras out looking to try and deal with that War Prism, as it is still alive towards the north. And yeah, like, Stats just buying a little time as he's transitioning, looking to get into Charge Lots and Storm.
One of the most old school army dynamics that we could see here, Light, is that Charge of the Archon versus Roach Hydra, or in this case, Roach Ravager Hydra.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting to see stats. He's continuing to expand here on the south side of the map, opting not to get the gold or venture off into the north. He's feeling a lot more safer here, and I mean, it is a little bit more like a defensive position. Like it's more tucked away. It's a little bit easier to navigate to. So yeah, like so far, this has been pretty passive.
Indeed, it has. But I don't think it's gonna stay that way for too much longer here, Light.
Yeah, exactly. As Lurker Den is finally being thrown down.
It is, in addition to that Infestation Pit, which should be finishing up pretty soon. Dark, who's soon to be maxed out, gonna be looking to really assert his army and see if he can get anything done.
Yeah, again, like Dark maxing out quite soon, or not quite there yet, but again, like this number is inflated by the amount of roaches that he has, so the army of stats is still quite comparable, and it looks like the shield batteries may just finish up in time as well to support this army, but stats, he's not in position.
Not quite yet. Did retreat to that high ground, hoping that Dark would follow him, and look at his flank coming out from Dark. Beautiful storms. Will be able to zone out most of Dark's army, but stats is being backed into a corner, and Almost as Dark is looking to surround. Very good use of the force fields here. Not a lot of Ravagers coming out from Dark, but I think Dark just has enough, more than enough even, as a bit of a desperation warp in of Zealots and Stalkers comes in. But Dark, his train is leaving the station.
Exactly, all the Immortals go down. Only Gateway units and a Soul Immortal here for stats. The base is going to be going down as well. And even though like the Lurker Den is going down, the Hive is on the way. Like Dark doesn't need any of it with Roach, Ravager, Hydra. He's going to be able to push through.
There's no storm because they just got warped in.
Oh, there's no energy on these High Templar. The storms are non-existent.
G to the G. And there we have it. After some pretty close series, Dark has been able to walk his royal road 3-2 and claims his first ever ESL Open Cup Asia Championship.
Wow, GG, well played. As you said, as maybe some people who aren't too familiar with this tournament series, Dark, this is the first time he signed up for ESL Open Cup, and he walked that royal road, going all the way through to, an incredibly tough semifinals, went all the way to the ace match, and through the same here, all the way to the ace match in the finals against Stats. And Dark, he's looking so on fire at the moment.
Absolutely is. And man, that was the finals. It was pretty close. But let's walk back a little bit to that semifinals between Dark and SOS.
I'm sure, yeah, everyone in the chat was going crazy. We were going crazy. I almost lost my voice. Dark versus SOS was insane. It was one of the best ZVPs I've been able to cast. Maybe the best ZVP I've been able to cast.
I feel like that's gonna be, yeah, I feel like that's gonna be the peak of my ZVP, in terms of ZVP anyway, in terms of games that I cast.
Yeah, that was insane to see. Of course, if you tuned in afterwards, like the VODs are available on Twitch, they will be available on YouTube at a later date. We may try and get something done with SC2 highlights as well. We'll have to look into that. But yeah, like that was such a sick series, and I'm honestly I'm glad that after that win over SOS, I'm glad Dark was able to move on here in the finals and win the entire thing. Like that was such a hard fought victory that he had to go through.
The grit in this lad.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I have a feeling we might be seeing more of Dark coming up. He has been knocked out of GSL, which may have been one of the motivations for him to sign up today. It's gonna be a while before another Premier event takes place, at least in Korea. So Dark, I think he's really gonna be trying to see what he can get done here in terms of prize money, in terms of practice, in terms of ESL Pro Tour points.
Yeah, definitely. It's really cool to see. We mentioned it earlier on today when we saw the signups. It's really cool to see some of these higher tier Korean players like finally take notice of these ESL Open Cups and start to sign up. You know, Dark being the latest one, SOS as well more recently, Stats even before that, Su, like TY. Like it's cool to finally see these names pop up and take notice.
Yeah, really starting to make what was already a pretty stacked weekly a little bit more stacked.
Yeah, it is still dominated by Protoss. Again, even though we didn't have two of them, Zest and Trap, like we still had an incredibly heavy Protoss bracket.
And as duty, as we are legally obligated, we had to cast all those PvPs.
We did. I apologize again, Yaku, for having to go through that. But you know, it's one of those things where
it led us into an interesting, it led us down an interesting path, to say the least. Even though it was a lot of PvP.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to trudge through the PvPs to get to that like gold at the end of the rainbow. You know, that being Dark and SOS going at each other. It was insane to see. It was beautiful. And yeah, like thanks everyone for tuning in. Like it was a great cast today. Of course, if you're wondering, unfortunately today we were the only English stream. Usually there's a couple more. Wardy, he joined us earlier today, but of course this tournament is clashing with Doyu Cup, and Wardy is the main English stream for that, so he has commitments there. And thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm sure it's a lot of people's like first time watching Cranky Ducklings. I hope you enjoyed it.
That I do, and yeah, I would just echo off. I very much appreciate that we may have gotten to a little bit of a record tonight for our ESL Asia Cup anyway, so yeah, thank you all for tuning in.
Yeah, definitely. We're really thankful for how this went, and we hope everyone enjoyed the broadcast. Of course, if you want more of the Cranky Ducklings, we are live currently 5 days a week. We will be live tomorrow with ESL Open Cup fueled by Dare, which is another ESL Open Cup, but for the Oceanic and Southeast Asian region. So yeah, if you're interested in players like Probe, Demi, Miyamaika, Hut, Seether, they all show up, they all duke it out in a pretty similar fashion to this tournament. And yeah, it's really cool to see ESL supporting the Australian scene. And yeah, speaking of the sea or the Australian scene, Yakuzaku, my co-caster today. Why don't you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Is this the part where I have to like go through my backstory, my life story? Okay, well I was born on a Sunday evening. It was a bit chilly. No, but you can find me over on twitch.tv/Yakuzaku1. I'm gonna try to stream a bit more this week. Gonna be doing a mix of StarCraft and something else, but I haven't figured out what that something else is yet. I'm not sure what would be particularly entertaining, so I'm open to suggestions. And twitter.com/EmperorYakuzaku, !Discord. You will give you a link to the Cranky Ducklings Discord server where you can find me and the rest of the members of Cranky. Other than that, buy my shirts. Where can we find you, Light?
Light_VIP on Twitch and Twitter. You can follow me on the social medias. I'm live typically throughout the week, either laddering or working on behind the scenes Cranky Ducklings related things like thumbnails, YouTube VODs, scheduling like events, things of that nature. So if you want to peek behind the scenes on how Cranky Ducklings operates, you can tune in there. But more importantly, as Yaku said, follow the Cranky Ducklings Twitch channel here. We also have a bunch of social media down below us as well: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff, as we are live consistently throughout the week. So yeah, hit that follow button and give us a chance.
Yeah, and I think that just about wraps us up tonight. I forgot to switch the schedule screen, so I'm just going to be putting that on for a couple of quick little minutes. So yeah, we'll be back in about 19-ish hours for that ESL Fueled by Dare. And yeah, follow them social medias that are also listed over there. I'm just trying to see if I can drag this out a little bit because we didn't get to show it, or I forgot to show it.
It's fine. Thank you everyone for watching. Stay tuned as we will be rating another StarCraft 2 streamer, so do stick around and support the scene. And with that, thank you everyone, and good night.
See you soon.